Hey there, Groovesters, Groove Stars from the Groove community. Super excited. Ridgely here, along with some very dear friends, Antonia Van Becker and Greg Lee, founders of the Self-Health Institute. And they do a lot of really groovy stuff, emotional healing, all kinds of tools, balancing, success accelerator stuff, lots of groovy stuff. But today, I'm really, really fired up because we're going to talk about what I think is super important: 3 common blind spots that sabotage your success. So before we go any further, Greg and Antonia, thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, Ridgely, so good to be here.
Thank you.
So fun.
Love being with you and the Groovesters.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I always enjoy every moment that we have together. And by the way, for everybody listening out there, our relationship is a deep relationship. Greg and Antonia have helped me overcome a number of my own blocks. On my wall, I have stuff that was developed through my sessions with them. I got to share. One of them says, taking responsibility is an all-encompassing and endless. And the other one says, manifest continuous abundance. So every now and then I'm looking up there, manifest continuous abundance. Oh, that's really cool. Came out of sessions with Greg and Antonia, and we are absolutely doing that. So hopefully we'll get the same thing for you from this. And I'm super interested in the 3 common blind spots because I have not learned this yet. So Groovesters, I'm in this learning mode with you. 3 common blind spots that sabotage your success. Where are we starting? What's number 1?
We're working too hard.
Too long.
Too long. We feel like we're always behind.
And we got to just keep working, right? The old American, well, I think it's all over the world, nose to the grindstone,
We're
right?
never going to get ahead.
That, how many of us have that? I mean, like we so do. And Ridgely, you work a lot of hours too, right?
I work a lot of hours. I really do.
But you're successful.
Well, you know, I found myself asking the question, do I enjoy it? And I think for the most part, I do. But then I had a bit of a reality check that's kind of rocking my world a little bit. And that is my younger brother, 2 years younger than myself, also a CEO, sold his company. And I thought, man, you're going to be bored. You're not going to know what to do with yourself, whatever. Well, guess what? He's really not bored. He's found all kinds of things to do. He's picked up pickleball. And I'm like, you know, pickleball is not working as hard. Sounds a little bit easier or more enjoyable or more fun than what I'm doing.
Right.
So what do we do about this? It's a plague.
It's a plague. And I think that so many people don't even realize that it's happening. I mean, I think they realize they're working a lot, but it's like, what is underneath that? Why are we doing it? Is it what we are calling success? I mean, and that's part of that, right? What is success? And it's different for everyone, right? Some people feel successful if they have their family unit operating really well. Some people don't feel successful even if they have multiple 8-figure businesses, but they're driven to keep going and keep going. What is that? Why are these different settings? Why do we have so many different settings? And what are we really driven to do? Why are we driven to work so many hours and maybe not take time with our family, not play pickleball, not exercise or take care of ourselves? What's on the inside that's creating that on the outside? Is it money?
I don't know. I mean, I guess we got to ask that question. I know one of the things that I've made a practice of is defining the number. In other words, when is enough enough? And I do think that's helpful, but I'd love to hear your take on this. What do we do about this constant quest without necessarily an end in sight?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, just to put it in a context a little bit, I used to, before we moved up north, I had a massage business, and it was a part of our revenue. It was a very good part of our revenue. And I worked with people who were literally the richest people on the planet. And they were so driven, and they would always, have goals to make many more millions this year than they made last year. But they weren't taking care of their family issues. They weren't taking care of their health. Their issues of not getting what they wanted in their work was causing them to use drugs and alcohol. And it's like, so you put yourself in that person's shoes. If you have, $85 million, and you still feel like I'm not attaining the goals that I wanted. I'm not as successful as I need to be to satisfy. And then it's that thing. What am I satisfying? So I love your idea of, having the number. And
Right.
we are so goals oriented when it comes to business. And then it's, what are the goals about? Are they about the thing that we're really aligned with? So that's where the fine point. And how do we find out if we're aligned with that thing that we have the goals to do? And if the actions are going to be things that, give us satisfaction. And if they're not, what do we do? Do we change our goals? Do we have a different perspective? So those are the things that are really important to have process when we go to create the goals. So for groupsters out there, when it's like, okay, so I'm very successful what I do, and I'm growing my business, but there's a piece of it where I think I'm not really that happy with my daily grind, right? I seem like I'm working too much. I'm not really getting ahead, even though I'm growing my business.
Mm-hmm.
So that can be a very dissatisfying feeling if the thing that you do day to day is not satisfying. So then it's like, okay, where's that all come from?
Right. So it's really about a couple things that we talked about. Defining what success is for you. And that could be the number, or it could be, I want this many clients because this will give me the income that I want to build my business or to grow. So knowing what that definition of success is for you in the moment, and knowing what is driving you underneath it. And sometimes people will call it the why, your why beneath it. Because when you discover and follow your why, then you see all the other things perhaps that are driving you that are not your why. And we started out talking about that age-old work ethic, right? That it's, oh, well, everyone in my family has done this. Everyone works hard. Everyone works overtime. Well, is that really true for you? Or is that just what has always been done?
To be successful.
To be successful, or to do what everyone in my family has done. So it's really knowing what is driving you and what your end result to be happy is. I mean, really, success, happiness, maybe that equals money, maybe everyone, it's individual. And you have to know what that is, because we kind of want to know when we get there, right? And if we don't have all that, one of the things that we say is, well, everybody's really disciplined because they're working a lot of hours, right? And when you work a lot of hours, usually that means you're disciplined to do that. Well, if you're working more hours than you want, use that discipline to take a darn day off, right? So turn that discipline of working into the discipline of some fun and some time off, and ability to take yourself out of the work. Because Ridgely, is when you take a little time off, then all of a sudden, oh, the ideas are flowing, and oh, I got creative. That's the answer to that solution, right? Sometimes when you're pounding away and just not taking a break, sometimes things can get clogged up and kind of like, oh, I can't think anymore. I'm too tired. But when you take yourself out of it, then your imagination gets freed up, your thinking gets freed up, and you can see a solution that might have been right in front of you. But because you're so focused and just doing focused on one thing, it's often hard to be creative out of that space to see something out of the box.
Now, is this a thing where you think that we have to develop the ongoing practice to take this time off to reflect or whatever? Or is it oh, I need to go on a retreat somewhere and figure this whole deal out? I'm kind of a little wondering, is it both? How's that look?
I think it's both,
I think it's both.
actually.
You gotta have the retreat come up, because that's the out of the ordinary, where you can say, this is a retreat for myself, right? I'm going to treat myself again. And you hope that that becomes a habit, that when you see those places in life where the people come together and it looks like fun, and maybe you can take a family member or two with you, that happens. But I think the daily part is what's even more important. I know you chant, we meditate. This thing where you can be in care of what's important for you is such a mark of discipline, of being able to be successful. Because if you say that you want something, like, I want to be healthier, I want to be more connected with how I feel, I want to have better relationships. Well, if you do those things, and that would be part of you being successful, you have to figure out what the habits are that would lead you to that success.
Right.
And it's not something like, I'm just going to go I'm going to go on vacation, twice a year, and then we get to all be together. And the rest of the time, I just have to have my nose to the grindstone. That's not going to have a good outcome. I love the thing where, you get the goal going, you're planning, and you take off, and you're on this beautiful trip. Seems like everything's going good, and you start to come down and you crash because you didn't plan on the care that you needed while you were on the trip.
And that goes to the taking some time off regularly during the week, on the weekends, date night, whatever that looks like to you, golf, exercise, all of that. Your body, your brain needs these changes. It needs to be able to get up and get down, have these different changes of scene in order to revitalize itself. It can't just stare at a screen all day long, day in and day out, and be expected to, like, Ridgely's laughing at this. He's like, but that's what we do. It is what we do.
It's part of it. There's no doubt.
Preaching to the choir here.
I'm laughing because last night I signed up. I periodically sign up for yoga with my beautiful wife, Kathy, and don't really pay attention to what I just signed up for. Right. I just thought, you're going to yoga. Okay, I'll go. And I just sign up. Right. And yesterday it was restorative, which was lie on the ground and don't move and pretend like you're sleeping, and like put a leg this way and then hang out for 5 minutes and then put a leg this way, hang out for 5 minutes. I was like, this is heaven. It felt so good. Just a whole lot of nothing for an hour. It was awesome.
Yes, exactly. Right. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I could go do anything, really, because I took some time to restore myself. I took some time so that my brain could shut down a little bit, my body, my whole energetic system, my nervous system could take a break without all of that. And that's what the human body and brain needs, is a little break. If we don't give it that break, we are asking for that crash landing. It's not if, it's when.
Well, and our brain looks for it. Let me show you what this is going to look like. You remember that time back when you were 7 and you got yelled at? That's what's happening right now. I'm doing that to you right now because I'm taking you down. This isn't right.
Yep. I'll give you a headache. I'll give you whatever.
Stress, exactly. So what are the things, I'm curious, before we just go on to number 2 here, what are the things that someone can begin to develop the habit of doing to check themselves? Okay, I want to check in with myself. Am I doing the work grind thing? So one of the things that I do, for example, that's a little unique, is I burst work. I always know when my next trip is. I know I'm leaving on the 15th of next month for a week to go to the mountains in Colorado. I know that the moment I get back, literally 5 weeks later, I'm going to Cancun. I know that when I get back 2 months after that, I'm going to Cancun again. So I do that. I mentally have it set up to where I can work hard knowing that this is happening. But what are the disciplined things that people can do to watch out for this?
I love your burst work, your vacation, structured vacation time, right?
Well, I think one of the most important things is to be able to track the habits that are helpful to you. So to have a daily, weekly habit tracker of the simplest things that you do, that maybe when you're saying, if I did these, I'd be more successful and I wouldn't be feeling like I have my nose to the grindstone. So one of those things would be, and everybody has that thing that they wish they did every day. So when you do that thing, like we do meditation, we don't get up and meditate. We lie in bed when we wake up and we meditate for half an hour, and then we write. And so we have 2 hours where we're not out of bed. And it's wonderful, but we get all kinds of stuff done, writing books, moving forward, feeling grounded at the beginning of the day. And Antonia is she has the habit tracker, and she clicks the thing off every day. And, it's a matter of habit. Success is a combination of actions that lead to habits that allow you to sustain your successful life.
I remember Aristotle's quote, excellence is what's it? The quote goes, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act, but a habit. I love that.
Yes. Yeah. And it's so true, right? To do those things, nourish you, nourish your brain and your body, so that you're getting out and you're like, we're doing karate, 4 times a week or whatever. People love to cycle or dance, or find the thing that you love and do it, and have different ones for your body, ones for your brain. My grandmother, who lived to 103, did she did the San Francisco Chronicle crossword puzzle every single day. And she did it in pen. So she was going at it. She was stimulating her brain, and that served her very well to keep nimble, mind, body, and spirit. So get those things that you love to do, and they'll nourish you back. They will bring you energy and strength and what else? And a nimble brain.
Love that. All right. Awesome. All right. What about number 2? What's my second?
Let's just talk first, just a second, about number 1, because one of the things that we have to do is, if there's stuff you don't like to do, you got to get somebody else to do it. It's a must. If you're saying, I have to do this thing, I hate to do it, and I'm not going to be able to be successful until I do it, you are setting yourself up for the crash landing.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
So that's a PS on number 1.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, moving to number 2. What do we got on our second most common blind spot?
So it's never feeling good enough or worthy enough, even when you're successful.
Oh boy.
Ooh, that's big.
Right? How so many people, and again, it goes with number 1, because one of the symptoms is working and working and working, and nothing is ever enough. No matter what, figure of business you have, no matter what your house looks like, what your car looks like, what maybe even your relationships with your kids and your family, it's never enough to satisfy that feeling that is inside, right? That having to do more for some reason. And so
I think this is really interesting, right? This is a very interesting one, because in certain areas, some of us have none of this and yet all of it. Like, for example, I don't care if I ever get another new suit in my life. I have 17 already, and I don't wear any of them. So what's the point, right? But some people feel that clothaholic thing that they need. I have none of that going on, but I'm sure I've got all kinds of other never enough stuff going on. Never run enough, never can stay in shape enough, never can do whatever enough. And it's kind of really hard one to get over.
It is a hard one to get over. And I think one of the reasons it's hard is because, I mean, those are good things, running and all of that. So why would I want to get over that anyway? I'm working hard, I'm doing my stuff, and do I really want to dig into what is at the cause of that? What's underneath all of the voices that I'm hearing in my head that are saying, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to keep it up. And that wasn't good enough. That wasn't long enough. That wasn't deep enough. That wasn't enough money. That's not a good enough critique. Whatever it is, I'd come home with an A- and my mom be like, why didn't you get an A? It's like,
I finished my master's degree in education last year, which I got because I thought I should get one. It's so funny. I got 1 A-, 1. So I graduated summa cum laude with a 3.97 average out of 4, right? What do I focus on? The A-. Oh,
exactly.
really? Like, you haven't been doing this kind of work for a long time, bro? Hello, wake up. So what do we do to get over this? I'm ready.
So here's the thing. I don't think so. There's this thing of people think, how do I get this thing out of my life? How do I just get rid of it?
Ugh.
And it's not the answer. The answer is to get it into your life in a way where whatever that root cause is, if it's the thing from when you were a kid where, no matter what, you were never going to be able to satisfy your parents' need for you to be better, bigger, whatever. When you can take that thing and surround it with so much love and self-care, and then allow that to be present in what you do as you walk through your day, you then begin to heal at a level where you're so compassionate that your self-worth is no longer dependent on the outcome of what happens in front of you, because you've already got it. So that's the deeper, where do we go? And where we go is so interesting, because the answers, you can go to a shrink and you can talk about it, but you're not going to get to the answer. You're going to get to the questions and you're going to talk about it. But the answer lies in, how did it feel then? Where is that stuck in my body? And how do I let go of it so that I can move forward without being tied down to that albatross that I don't understand because it happened when I was 6.
And I don't even remember that when it was 6, because it was too painful for me to remember. Right. So really understanding, and of course, this is, what we do is talking to bodies and looking where our trauma gets stuck in our body and being able to clear it out through our energetic system, which then allows us to be like, oh, that's so interesting, an A-.
Right.
Wow. I have gotten so many A's. I have gotten so many degrees and written so many books, and I've done all this stuff. What's the difference?
Right.
So interesting.
Yeah.
You know what it is? It's that teacher. It was his first class he ever taught, and he didn't understand the rubric. That guy was just wrong to give me that A-. That's what happened to me, dagnabbit.
Exactly. And that's what happened when you were 6. It all repeats itself over and over again.
Right.
It's bizarre how our brain sees things in the context of the experience that we had in the past that was difficult. And there's so much science on it. I mean, we were doing our business for 20 years, and all of a sudden we see this TEDx talk by Nadine Burke-Harris, who's talking about ACEs. And this is important, especially for groupsters and especially for people who it really makes a difference how you feel. Imagine that it does, because to be successful, to really be successful, it makes a difference how you feel when you say this is success. So she talked all about adverse childhood experiences and how much it changes your neurology, the way you think, what you can do, the jobs you get, the success you have, the people that you're comfortable around, how you react to what people say. And
how worthy you feel in the moment and as you do things throughout your life.
And of course, your health.
And especially your health. Yeah.
Which is what they really focused on in the ACEs study, was people who were already adults. And then they went through a questionnaire of how many adverse childhood experiences they had. And if they had over 4, they're basically not doing well healthy. When you talk about blood pressure, COPD, cancer, heart, just all the things, they're all at a huge disadvantage because of these adverse experiences that they had. And most of our strategy, mostly in business, when things don't go well, just going to forget about that and move ahead, work harder,
keep pushing, do more hours, all of the stuff we're talking about.
Yeah, makes total sense.
Yeah.
All right, I guess we got to deal with one more.
Dang it.
We're getting heavy here.
Shoot. Okay. And this is another one that really, and of course, because we're basically kind of inner game people, right? So our whole jam is about what is on the inside, what's going on in the inside of your brain, how that's affecting your physiology, your neurology, your chemistry.
And ultimately,
why
you're not attracting your 5-star clients.
Yes.
And you're working your butt off and not having any fun. Working with people that you wish you didn't have. They pay you well, but it's not something that really is feeding your soul.
Or you're not attracting people at all. You're not attracting as many clients as you want. You're not attracting the right clients, or maybe you're attracting people who can't afford you. And then where does that go? And so this is all about how we present ourselves, especially energetically, because that's our jam, but what we feel about ourselves on the inside, what we're telling ourselves that we can do or what we can be, 100% gets reflected out through the way we do our marketing or don't do our marketing, the way we talk to people, the way we interact, and a lot of people who have these issues don't like to go on social media. They don't want to expose themselves because that could be dangerous, or that, doesn't give them the result that they want. So it's like, why am I not doing this? Maybe I am getting on social media, but it's all crickets. What's going on with that?
So it's really, is it a rejection of, or a not attracting, or is that the same thing?
They're kind of, so that's here we are in the laws of the universe, right? Whatever you put out, they're attracted is an exact opposite of it. So it's like really being in your not healed self attracts other people who are not in their healed selves. So it's like, and it kind of breeds distraction when it comes to people seeing what you do, because what they see is exactly what's coming out of you. And it's very hard to hide. And when you try to hide it, people go, oh, that's my BS meter's going off. I'm not going to invest with you.
Yeah. That makes complete sense. Well, so the thing, I'm sitting here pondering a little bit, or briefly pondering, because I'm trying to pay attention and ponder at the same time. And sometimes that's really hard. Stay fully present and listen very deeply while pondering concepts that come at me. But brain just like, that's why it has marching orders north. This brain is like bulbing out. I can't just control it over
You
here.
have a big brain.
So I'm sitting there thinking that all of these things seem very naturally to work together, right? If I'm stuck in that daily grind and I'm working like crazy, and I'm not giving myself a chance to feel good, feel worthy about myself, blind spot number 2, feel like I'm never enough, then it naturally sets me up that I'm not going to attract the right people, and I'm going to reject the people that I should be attracting, or whatever. It seems like they all kind of are the reason why it's 3 common blind spots, but it sounds to me like it's one common blind spot system.
Well, and it leads to not having a successful business or being happy in your own life. And
the biggest problem is you don't know why it's happening, because they're blind spots. It's like, I'm not looking at this because I haven't really set out specifically to create what I want from, a level of what's going to make me happy. So, and this happens so many times in business, especially when you start to become an entrepreneur and you say, I think I need a coach. And the coach says, so what do you really want? I want to be successful. I want to make a lot of money. Okay, so what are your skills? And then sometimes we jump the skill boat into something that, I know how to do this. I don't really like to do it, but people hired me for this before, and I think I'd be a good coach at it. Okay, where does that leave us? That leaves us with 50,000 people who do what you do, and kind of coaches have told you how to be successful doing it. And now somebody has to choose of these 50,000 people, which ones are the least screwed up.
Yeah.
That's not what we want to be doing. We don't want to be wondering why we're not attracting the clients. And I know in your work, I love what you do with your work, with, really being able to define what your clients want and what your skills are, so that you can mesh together and you get perfect clients who want what your skills are and what you love to do. And it's just such a dilemma when somebody doesn't know why they're not attracting the clients.
Yeah. So
what do we do?
Yeah.
We really need to be brave enough and disciplined enough to look inside and hear what our brain is telling us and what our body is telling us needs to happen. When we look outside ourselves and we take what these coaches who may not know us that well, and they say, well, this is the thing that's happening. Go do this, go do this, go do this. And maybe you go and try it and you do one thing or another. And it's like, oh, that doesn't quite feel right. Or, wow, that didn't work for me. Then you need to look at your why you're here, what is success for you, and what that looks like that works for you inside. And then hearing the demons that come up when we start pursuing those things that are exactly right for us.
Because that's when they come up.
Because the gremlins will come up to try and put us back into our safety zone, put us back into that little safe hole where we don't really have to come up and do much, but we're not also successful or happy there. So we have to be brave and strong enough to listen to our body and our soul really tell us what to do, what's aligned, and then clear out some of these other voices that are saying, you're not good enough, this isn't right, you'll never make it. Heal that stuff that has happened so that you can be like, dude, I hear you, I've heard you before, and it's not true. Have the back talk to that negative self-talk, right?
Yeah, and I heard that expression that one of the most difficult and challenging things we'll ever do is to open that heavy creaking, groaning door that is our own life and look in and take a hard look at what's really going on there.
It takes bravery and strength to do it, in that you have to keep looking. So you can't be like, oh no, boom, and close the door right away, right? You have to crack it open and keep looking and be, and that's when you can get to that, oh my gosh, that's so interesting. You mean when I had a 9 to 5, like what I had to do over time, because I worked in Silicon Valley for 14 years, in middle management. And it was like, I had a job. Yes, paycheck, do it. And I was like, oh, that's how I get money. And then I can make a lot of money when I get a paycheck. And then I'm like, but that doesn't really feed my soul. Okay, quit. All right, next. Oh, entrepreneurship. Oh, heck. How do I make money without a paycheck? Okay. All right. Let's work on that. Where that came from, working since I was 8 years old to get a paycheck, okay, let's get rid of that. Let's do entrepreneur. Yes, we can do that. But, I can only make a certain amount of money. So in other words, seeing that progression of where you go in your life and then how that upper limit issue changes. As you grow, you get a different upper limit issue, and you keep having to push that up by continually holding the door open to how your own belief system, your negative self-talk morphs as you grow up and get more and more successful, but you still want to be happier. You want to have a little more money to giving your money of a job of every 5 weeks you get a vacation, every whatever it is, your money's got that job. So yeah, I need a little more money, and just always keeping that door open and watching your negative self-talk change and morph as you grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an endless cycle. And I love the term human revolution. And the idea behind human revolution is it's always turning. It doesn't really stop. The minute it stops, you're going backwards, because the rest of the world is continuing to turn no matter what. And oh my gosh, what would happen if the world stopped turning? Just say it, right?
Right.
Catastrophe immediate. So, wow. Fantastic. Well, I know you have something to share with the group community as well. Groovesters already know, hit the button below, but tell us a little bit about this gift that you're giving to everybody, for which we're so grateful.
Yeah, well, it's 3 common blind spots that sabotage your success. And we've been talking about it, but in the document that you'll get, there's a lot there. And the key to really getting into this is to have a process. So one of the things that we do when people join our community, they get to come to workshops, they get to come to master classes, and we talk about the details of how to do this. And
how to talk to your body and keep that door open to your own human revolution.
So our thing is to give people possibility and to give them really hope that they don't have to be stuck in the revolving door of what do I do next? How come it didn't work? How come I'm not good enough? I must have done something wrong. So that you really have a way to simply look at what you're doing and be able to take what looks like a problem and turn it into a golden opportunity.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So, Groovesters, we know what to do. Hit the button below. Go get this very generous gift from Greg and Antonia. Take a look at it and use what's there to make your world a little better, overcome these blind spots, and create the business that you're the dream, the whatever that may be, whatever it looks like for you. Go from what we love to say, go from being a Groovester to a Groove Star.
Yeah, baby.
Well, guys, thank you so much for the time. I so deeply appreciate you. Love you. Big hugs headed your way. And now that this pandemic thing is kind of wrapping up, it's time for us to be getting together again. You know what I'm saying? Right? Yeah. Let's push up and on that one. Figure out a way to create this and grow again back into community, because it's kind of time. It's been enough already.
It's
Yeah.
time. We want to get together with you.
Well, thank you very much. Greg and Antonia, thank you so much, founders of the Self-Health Institute, for your very generous contribution to the Groove community. We deeply appreciate it, and I can't wait for more and to hear about the results that everybody gets from implementing the teachings that you give us from the 3 common blind spots. Really, really interesting stuff. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much, Ridgely. Love you.
Uh,
Thank you. Love you too. Ciao for now.